There are people in the world who, even from a very early time in life, felt that their life would be part of some kind of great transition, some kind of sea change in human civilization. Not a peaceful transition necessarily, but a great transition. And of course, we all want to give definition to these deeper feelings, but rarely do our definitions account for the real scope of an experience that's coming from a deeper place within us. This is not the result of an intellectual pursuit, as much as it is innate intelligence telling us something, orienting us in a certain direction in life if we can follow it. Sometime in fairly recent times, we crossed an invisible line where our emergence into a greater community of intelligent life would go into another stage, greater movement. Not by us, but by those around us in the universe who know of us. Greater forces. We don't know that moment and that time. We can't account for it, perhaps, in our own experience. We did not really create it. It just means we're part of life in a larger arena. An arena in which we have always lived. And now the time has come when our isolation is over. Prior to understanding this, people will think, well, we're in a great environmental crisis, which we are, or we're going to go through a tremendous economic or political breakdown and rebuilding, or perhaps we're in a spiritual renaissance of some kind, a great spiritual upliftment and opening. Everyone trying in their own way, using different words and ideas, to give voice to an experience that we're all having, that life is changing underneath our feet. It's not going to be the same world, even of our parents. Many are hopeful, many are fearful. But somewhere in between, we need to take a position of clarity and objectivity, sobriety, knowing the difference between reality and what we think or want or believe. Last evening I gave a definition of reality, a kind of practical, expedient definition, that reality is everything that is beyond our thoughts and beliefs, happening. And we're either aware of it or we're not. Life is moving. There are other races in the universe who seek opportunity here. They will present themselves as benign. They've been watching us for a long time. They will speak to our aspirations. They will speak to our failures. They will speak in such a way as to give us the impression that they can provide these things for us, that we seek and cannot find. The answer to our great and growing global problems. It's all a deception. Clever. We think the universe is full of war. Our movies are like that. Films are like that, but it's full of persuasion. War is primitive to advancing races. Destructive and often needless. We're entering an environment of persuasion. Some people think, well, they haven't destroyed us, so they must be our friends. But this is thinking that war is the template for how nations interact with each other in the universe around us, and that is not true. But how would we know that? We would have no way of knowing that. It's merely a supposition, but who can tell? But the revelation from God has, for the first time in history, thrown open the doors to the reality and spirituality of life in our local universe. Things we need to know, we must know, if we're to make any wise decisions regarding any visitation to our world, or where we stand in the face of greater powers around us. What our advantages are, what our disadvantages are. The strengths of those who are coming here and their weaknesses and limitations. Things we could not know, still stuck on the surface of this one little world, in a great panorama of intelligent life. Only the Lord of the universe could give us this. But no race in the universe knows about every other race in the universe. There's so many things we assume to be true that aren't true. So many things we have never thought of that are true in this great revelation about life in the universe called the greater community. We're hopeful, but we're unprepared. We expect great things, but we're afraid that we'll meet others like us, only more powerful. We don't know where we stand. We don't know what to do. But life has brought us to this threshold, ready or not, willing or not, able or not. So a great calling is going out into the world now to bring this great revelation to people, and with it, the awareness of spirituality in the universe, the realities of life beyond our planet, and what we must do to understand and face these things. It so amazes me that people don't know how to regard visitation to our world. And the reason is they know nothing about life beyond our world. So we put a human face on things, a human expectation. We look out at the stars and all we see is ourselves, our own thoughts and beliefs. We don't see reality. And those who do see reality begin to have a much more sober feeling about the great transition that we are now in. And there's no going back. In life, there's really never going back. There's only going forward or falling by the wayside. We have to keep pace with the movement of life. That's a challenge, but it's a good challenge. It's a necessary challenge. Without that, people become complacent and weak, self-indulgent, corrupt by forces around them or forces within them. They become despondent. They cease to be creative. They cease to be aware. People decline. In comfort and security, people decline rapidly. Life gives us these things, but also great challenge. And now we have great challenge. And we know from our experience that the greatest demonstration of people's spirit and will is at times of calamity. People are called to service, to rescue others. Great, terrible event happens in some part of the world, and rescue crews are sent from nations everywhere. Money is sent, food is sent. This is where humanity shines. This is the front line of life, and it's also the front line of our spirituality. Otherwise, people retire to some kind of spiritual suburbia and only want to be happy and think of themselves. There's no life there. There's no inspiration there. So now life has brought us to this great threshold. How will we respond? People with a greater community history are sent into the world, people that I call greater community people, a greater community person, perhaps like you, to help support humanity through this tremendous challenge. And with this tremendous challenge, a tremendous upgrade to human power and unity in the world. For there's nothing that's going to unite humanity but some greater dilemma, challenge that threatens everyone everywhere. The rich have no benefit here. Everyone is in the same boat. No nation will prevail if intervention is successful. So, many people will run away and hide or deny this. They're waiting for Jesus to come back, or they're going to enlighten themselves in the pathway of Hinduism or Buddhism, or they're going to become politically engaged. They cannot face this greater thing. But you must. If this strikes you in ways you can hardly understand, then you're connected to this. Even the people who reject this are connected to this. But they want to deal with it on their terms, through their science or rationality, or their process of reasoning. But life is not about that. Human reason is magnificent in its areas of application, but beyond those areas, it is quite hopeless. You need a different kind of intelligence now. It's innate within you. And that is what our vigil is really about, is this deeper intelligence within you, which isn't there just to make you happy and comfortable, but to engage you in life in a way that really fulfills you, inspires you, gives you strength, gives you certainty, gets you out of self-degradation and self-conflict, gets you out of a meandering, haphazard life, and engages you where you really are meant to be engaged. You may pray for God to anything, any advantage, but God has put knowledge within you to guide you. You really cannot ask for more than that. It's enough if you can respond to this. So I think the world needs to have this greater community awareness, education, preparation, or the world could be overtaken without firing a shot. The powers of persuasion and manipulation. Some people become hopeless immediately. Without hope, they become hopeless. They go from exuberant and anticipatory to hopeless, like they fell out of a 10-story building. It's a middle ground. Hope is weak without knowledge. And hopelessness is defeat before the challenge even arrives. We cannot be defeated. This is not about capitulation. The intervention of the world seeks to weaken us. If we can't be seduced, it will weaken us. It will discourage us. Even though it's made up of pathetically small numbers of individuals. And it's a vast sea of humanity who doesn't realize the power that it has, strength that it has if it is united. Now it has a reason to unite beyond national advantage or the benefits of trade or anything that we can think of. It's the survival of human civilization. It's the survival of human freedom, sovereignty in this world. Big stakes, big. part of our message to you is what is big within you is connected to what is big beyond you. You may give your life to little things, but what is big within you is connected to the bigger picture for which you have come. And when you can begin to have the courage, it's not easy, but have the courage to face this and consider this and stay with it, already you begin to turn a corner within yourself. A corner from weakness to strength, from hopelessness to a deeper certainty and conviction. I'm a messenger sent into the world to be a vehicle to bring this great teaching to humanity. And you know, for the messengers before me, it always looks hopeless. Anything important to do always looks hopeless. But our strength comes not from hope alone, but from a deeper conviction. Okay, it's hopeless, but we'll do it anyway. Humanity is a sleeping giant, but its power cannot be used if it is still asleep. If it engaged in constant conflict with itself, which the intervention of the world will promote, it cannot turn its eyes to the universe. We have our backs to the universe. Undefended are our borders, unrecognized are our borders, unsupported are our borders. We have rights in this universe, but we do not even realize what they are. We know what has happened to the native peoples of the world facing exploration from beyond. This is a lesson of life. It is a lesson of intervention. We are now the native peoples of the whole world facing exploration and intervention. Let us not be foolish. Let us not be seduced. Let us not acquiesce. The power of knowledge within you will hold fast. Even when you feel weak, even when you don't know what to do, it will set you on a direction. It knows where you need to go. It knows who you need to meet. It knows what you need to do in life, but it must take you there. You must go without explanations. You must go because in your heart you know you must go. That is what heaven is looking for within you. Can you follow something without understanding it or having explanations? Because that's what will move your life. Humanity needs a greater community awareness now. Who will bring it to them? How will they find it? It is a magnificent gift. But how can people find it? I and those who work with me are doing everything we can to bring it to the world. But it's a big world. Not everyone has to be reached, but enough people have to be reached. Intervention could be stopped if human will was expressed out into the universe. The new message will explain this because otherwise we would never assume that to be true. We think force is what moves things. But if another intelligence can make you not want to resist, they've won you over without the use of force. They can weaken you by strengthening your weakness, by taking you astray, following peace or wealth or spiritual fulfillment, whatever will seduce you. But the real spirituality within us cannot be seduced. It will never fall for such things. This is the power and the grace that God has given you to use at this time. And this is the time. Every day now is important. Every year now is important. Every person who has a greater community heritage within them is important, but they must see clearly. There's too much seduction in the world. There's too much manipulation in the world. It is so easy to fall prey to these things. Too much human weakness. And already the feeling of the world has changed. The mental environment of the world has changed because there are foreign presences here, changing that environment. Perhaps you can feel this. Things don't feel the same as they did when you were a child, maybe. Something invisible in the atmosphere has changed. The world doesn't feel the same now. It's not just about political movements or economic changes. It's something else, much more pervasive. We have a stranger in our house who's changing that environment. And not everyone's going to feel it or know it or even accept it. But those who do must become strong. Must become prepared, not by themselves, because no one can prepare themselves for this. This is why there's a new message from God. Not just about personal fulfillment or bliss or happiness. If that is your only goal in life, you open yourself to all forms of seduction and persuasion. Something much greater. The protection of everything you value in this world. Protection of whatever freedom has been established in this world. Protection of all forms of human spirituality. Protection of human sovereignty and determination. This is how big this is. God's not going to speak again for anything except something extremely urgent. This is extremely urgent. And necessity is upon us and within us. You can feel it. I can only point you to the revelation that will speak of all these things beyond what I can say, to answer your many questions which will surely arise, which will strengthen you, give you courage, determination, acknowledging the fear and uncertainty that exists, yes, but to show you where your certainty really resides and how to find it, to take the steps to that deeper knowledge within you. This is how God will give you strength and courage. It's an invisible gift that serves us even when we don't want it. Brilliant. Part of understanding who you are in the world today is part of a greater context within the world today. The great environmental change that is coming, the great waves of change, our encounter with the universe of intelligent life, the growing urgency for human cooperation, the cessation of conflict. These are the big things, and they're all interrelated. Let yourself then be impacted by this. It is unsettling. You will not feel certain within it at the outset, but it is necessary. It will take you away from little hopeless things and engage you with important, deeper things. And that is where your sense of worthiness and well-being will emerge. I pray for this in you and in the world. I'm here for this. This is not about me. This is about everyone. I pray this power and this feeling will begin to emerge in you.